front, roughly, of the opposite game that they're casting. So we'll get the heat of a game behind us. And I think anyone who's watched Astralis play before has an expectation that it's going to be loud, it's going to be noisy.
And it's just that, for sure. And they seem to be doing quite well here so far.
But that's the other game.
That's the other game. That you need to be at the main channel for that one. But the B stream stands for brilliant, I believe you said before.
Bravado.
Best stream, exactly. And we're going for Heroic versus w7m here. Now, I'm going to apologize beforehand, but w7m, the name, I keep on mispronouncing it.
You mispronounce it.
I've been doing it quite well these past couple of ones, but I keep on calling them 77m. And
Why?
I don't know.
There's only one 7.
I might be illiterate. I don't know.
Well, you may be, but you're good with numbers. Valkyrie, Kaid, Finker is probably the most curious out of this. There was a fun statistic that was posted around earlier where every single Finker main was at the top of the overall rankings of the day's players.
I wonder why.
Every single one.
I absolutely have no clue how a Finker player could be at the top of the leaderboard.
It was a Finker sweep.
I honestly no idea why. It probably has nothing to do with the LMG.
Probably not.
Probably not. I think it's the grenades.
Heroic, starting on their defense here onto Bank. It's obviously come sort of back in step by step. There's been some changes. Not too long ago, but long enough that everybody's sort of familiar with them. Obviously, the biggest one is the hatch onto the basement play. The basement has a little bit more width, a little bit more room. Oh, Zero is on the board. Oh, I love to see Zero. We actually asked Alamau about this last night. We said, how do you pronounce some of the names? It's always good to make sure they do. Apparently, in the Brazil scene, a lot of people just call JV92 92. They don't call him JV.
Okay, so we're going to be calling him 92.
So if we call him 92, this is from Alamau. So maybe Alamau's just trolling us because he was also tweeting from Shaz's account.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's trolling. He seems to be the guy that would go for it. What about the other names? Because we have a bunch more. Some of them seem pretty straightforward, but if JV92 is just 92.
Well, I feel like I don't want to give you... Okay. I want to hear you struggle with the names.
Okay, well, then you'll struggle you get. As we head into this very first round here, the action phase has just started between Heroic and w7m, who is on that attack. And some good drones here from the start. Seem to be well aware of one of the players inside open area, that is. And there's Benja getting droned out himself there. He's going to be trying to rotate towards safety quickly.
Now, for the context on how this map is fed up for these two teams and why it's a bit of a surprise that Heroic went here instead of Club is Heroic have one loss on it. A quick spray through does some damage to Herds over the top on the far side of the top of square. They're trying to close down on Benja as much as possible. He is moving, manipulating, and taking out as many drones, but just slips his way past the drop there around the side. He should be able to score a take here, and there's a fight, but it's 92. Or JV, regardless of how you pronounce them, is able to get that opener here. Benja taking care of it. The camera goes up. Sloth finds Volps on the far side now inside, locked in with the UMP. It's going to be a matter of trying to get the quickest response here, obviously. There is a bit of a difference in how they're connected to the game. And Gorgona connects to the face of Kays, who had a huge performance earlier on in the win w7m took against DarkZero.
Now, that means there's a man advantage here for the side of Heroic, but still that verticality that could be played here by w7m. Mostly, though, if there's still roamers on the board. And there seems to be a couple of them. He's going to get caught off while he's in the reload of his skeleton key by Gorgona. Eventually will be traded out, though. Brings it back towards a 2-on-3 situation. Still the opportunity to go for a secure here, but with GDN coming up quite close, it is eventually 92 that will be able to get the kill on Gorgona.
Throws the drone, puts it down. Are they going to find it? The pre-fire comes through, just sees the top of the hat a little bit too late. GDN goes a bit wider and wider and wider, but they have the ping. A rough corner in the castle means they know he can't have gone anywhere. He doesn't need to. Sloth finds one, finds two, and Heroic find around an important one coming off the back of a loss against G2.
Exactly, you want to be starting off strong here on Bank, on your defense. Let's say a 4-2, a 5-1 split. That is what they will be aiming for here, as Astralis is basically filling the entire crowd here. I mean, in terms of noise. They started cheering for Heroic that just won the round.
I don't think they did.
Yes,
but
they are, Emmy. Just come on.
Sorry. Yeah, they did. I am so excited to see this place packed with 2,000 people. It is going to get loud.
It is definitely going to get loud. Flanks are going to be a bit harder to pull off as well at that point. Oh, what's happening? But yeah, 1-0 Heroic. Of course, all these teams that are currently playing here at Charlotte or at Mexico want to be reaching the playoffs. And of course, those that are here in Charlotte will be able to play in front of that crowd. Unfortunately, unable for the 3 teams that are currently in Mexico City. But, you know, the playoffs is still at stake for them. They still want to go there. W7M, I mean, they did a great job in their first game. Were able to pick up some points. Heroic, unfortunately, with their loss against G2, is still looking for their first points and hoping to find those against W7M here.
Wow, the approach comes through and Heroic have got the first. Bank is a map that sort of led itself well into attack. It's built itself in a good position so far. There's a lot of soft, and that's the big problem, is you're looking at a lot of these sites now, especially over towards this, the push from the lobby towards tellers, towards a site that you don't actually see too much now because of all the softs on the floor above. Inside CEO, inside those offices, it makes it so awkward. A lot of pre-placed C4s is really the only trick and trap you can do before you're suddenly surrounded. Herds proving that with the width, they're putting the pressure here onto the other side of open, a site which gives you a little bit more to work with in terms of the hold you can do above. You have some of the sturdy from stock, you can have the rotation that way, and Volps is going to see if he can punish it with a bit of quick movement down towards tellers.
Actually wanted to highlight that basically one-hit fall he went for a little bit earlier there. I know it's no longer possible, but just 2 bullets and a single hit were enough for him to quickly enter the building and might be pulling that off a little bit more by surprising the side. Either way, Gorgona up on the top floor with Benja and one other on the side of Heroic are looking to find an impact, but Volp's already inside of the teller's office here. I believe there is a mirror window that he has on his side of things as well, and that means someone wants to come back, but it's Benja with the very first kill.
Oh, Spray's back. There's going to have to be a quick reaction here as they're able to bite just a little bit more. It was so well played by the Nook. They stuck in a corner. There's the drop on the Sam Cam, and they're eyeing up the chance of a hatch here. Volps is massively injured. They were able to spray a little bit back into the fight before they were entirely removed there, but at the same time, it puts them in a tricky situation. JV moves and slithers his way into the top of the vault there, forces them further and further out. Just over a minute and a cold kit on the second story, so they're going to see if they can put the work in on the site itself. Herds, he's paying keen attention to a Maestro, tries and leans back into the fight there. It's a spray, it's Scrappy, and it's JV that finds Gorgona trying to slink his way up from deep underneath. There's a lot of damage done to the players of W7M. It just takes a scratch, and with everything that's still in the pockets here of Heroic, they can make it work. Benja swings round, gets one, the connection comes against it. They know where the last player is. He's hot pinged, revealed, and round in the tight corner. It's a bit of a ring around the rosies. Where's he gone? The wrong angle. They're able to keep themselves standing. Grizzly can get a rotate round if he needs to. The kit's still cold anyway, so he's just going to try and find a fight itself. Benja, I don't know if it works from that range, my friend, but he's got to tap a reload, and he has time to find a second for Heroic.
I was going to say, all he needs is just a single pellet from that shotgun to get the kill, but unfortunately non-landed, so had to finish it off with the SMG-11. A little bit of a scrappy fight in the end there, as W7M just took it to the site directly. And I wanted to say, literally, all they could do is just get on the Evil Eyes and zap them all to death. I mean, that's how low they were. But of course, the Maestro taken out first out of the Heroic remaining defenders there. But it doesn't matter in the end. Still up in the lead, 2-0 now.
Popped up, sprayed down, and CEO is where we head to the top floor to, I guess, see if we can try and put the test towards that soft. As I said, you're not really going to see that mid-floor site that isn't open now. You've got that strange stretch of the change of the one to the other, where it used to be a little bit of a good play on rotations. It's just a bit too claustrophobic for a lot of teams now again. The Blitz and the Ying is a curious combination to see if they can try and make a connection, because so far they haven't been able to do. And the Lion, it's one of those very frustrating lineups to play against, but we've always got to remember that they're not playing at a dead zero ping, so they've got to try and find utility that can work around that.
Yeah, you got to be working around aggression here, basically. And if there is an aggressive lineup, I think this is one of the ones that would stand out too. So I'm not quite sure what the plan is, whether they will go in from stock, rush up the spiral stairs, or go in from the top of square. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how this one will shape up. But there's definitely a lot of potential of overwhelming Heroic here if they aren't properly set up for it. But it seems like their current side setup is quite well equipped. I mean, long lines of sight are basically being avoided. You'll force them to come in quite close, and his keys is just
slow creeping?
Slow creeping up to the skylight. I mean, he might drop into it. I mean, it's possible.
There's that Twitch drone play that we've seen before, taken out in a response. It's slowly glowing and growing itself into the game a little bit more, which means people respond to it a little bit more. Cameras are such a big play on that big open space. It's why I love the Sam Cam so much. They're going to lean into a fight there, trying to find the angle. Sloth can't quite get the full connection with the player there, and obviously he's going to pull himself back. Gets into a slightly different location. There's a lot of pops, a lot of pings, and a lot of pop. There's one, there's two, there's three! Benjamaster goes wide, goes deep, and goes monumental against the attempt on the approach there. Who cares if you're under the gaze of an E1D, if you just jump out a window?
He jumps out, and more importantly, he's out here alone now, can waste as much time, never mind, as he wanted to. I mean, it's a great triple kill. Maybe he could hold on a little bit longer there, but the diffuser dropped. You force the team, you force w7m to start coming back. They need to recover that diffuser and take you out there if they want to be going for a win, but the entire aggressive lineup they had, Ying, Lion, Blitz, it's only Blitz left that is really able to make anything happen here. And as the smokes go up, he's hoping to at least block us some lines of sight, but surely he'll be walking into a big crossfire here.
Oh, Gorgona, he puts another bit of energy down there. It just leaves the Blitz by themselves. They were slow creeping at the start, but suddenly they're going to find themselves under a lot of pressure. Pistol spray down the first, but it's Uno to lock down the second. A 3-site rotation comes through all heroics.
A great, massive triple kill there. Very important for the side of Heroic, because you basically took out the ammunition out of the gun, right? Like, they were ready to go. They were ready to go for a jump in. And at that moment, Benja just explodes outside, is able to shut them down before they can do anything. I mean, 2 players are watching him, and neither was able to get the kill in the end there. Benja with a great triple kill before he got shut down. And that is 3-0 for Heroic now, and where they might have looked a little bit defeated after their loss against G2, they are definitely coming out swinging here against w7m.
I mean, Benja 6-2.
It's a great start for the game for him. I mean,
it's a start with energy. It's a start with everything that they needed because of what happened in the game before. Heroic, they never really had a lot of things that were sure says. They never really had a lot of things that, for them, when you're coming to an international scene for the first time, outside of obviously Uno, you're trying to piece things together. You're trying to make things connect. One of the only things that they had as solid data was how they perform against current G2, based on, you assume, scrims, but based on how they played in the league itself. That going against them in a way that seemed a little bit low energy is a huge blow. It is a problem for them. So to come back here against a team like w7m, which is an unknown quantity, and get this much energy in, I mean, it's huge. There goes Benja. Quite early, Volps punishes them.
I mean, sometimes you got to take some, sometimes you got to give some. So an early death for Benja there. It's also the smoke. That is, I think, maybe even more painful. Wasn't a dirt tunnel as well. Gone 6 misses, so we'll have to go for the knife on the eventual bot wire. C4 gets lost, won't be able to find anything, and Keys will find yet another kill. A 3-on-5. This one is looking really good for w7m.
Yeah, more aggression, more strikes. Instead of trying to play themselves behind a rush, they're saying, let's just rush to play. They're putting pressure either side there. They've got the damage done inside Garage. They had a ping as well. I don't know if it was still standing, but a drone was watching the crawl of Grizzly. They know where they are. The Oster of Hearts is just going to set up a little bit of an angle or actually pull themselves back. Uno, he wants to try and bounce some slow and steady back here. He has a gun that can do a lot of damage from range, but it just takes a pop-up over there for them to try and suddenly do something with it. The difference of the 2 bodies might be something that costs them because they can set themselves up for a trade. The hop over the top! And Gorgona finds one as Herds gets it back. There's the E1D, tries to swing into it, can't quite get it. It's a 4 versus 1. Grizzly, he's going to try and pull himself back into the site. Gets caught out by the fire, catches out the player behind him, but now, with only a sliver of health, is going to go up and over the top. The kit is being put down inside the site. It's a huge task ahead of him with not a huge amount in his pockets left. They still have smokes, they still have flashes, they still have everything if they want to stop this. And I mean, they can probably move those screens if they wanted to as well. Gets an easy pick up there onto Ossa, whether they were entirely sure where the player was. Now they are. Less than 30 seconds though. They got to come down the stairs, and well, w7m had that locked in. 3-1.
That was a great early start, right? I mean, the double entry, Benja taken out as well when he was in the smoke. A second one to come through elsewhere on the map. And suddenly it's a 3-on-5 situation. Heroic, not really anything. I mean, you can always come back from it, right? It's never over until it's over. But theoretically, you shouldn't be losing a 5-on-3 situation as W7M. And of course, you're not here. You're playing in a bit of ping, but that still goes. That still counts. You played that trade game, and it did that well here in the end. So 3-1. We're just halfway, well, past the halfway point for this first half. And that means that round 5 currently on the way, back towards the open area. Heroic still looking for their 4th as the bare minimum and looking for 5 as a potential extension.
A bit of growth here, a bit of opportunity for W7M to see if they can try and work on what they did before. When they were playing against DarkZero, it was back and forth throughout the whole game. There was rarely a moment where there was at least a round difference. It really was sort of tooth and nail all the way to OT. Our second one on the A stream on the second game. It really opened in a manner and a way that the game intended to continue here. And Heroic, I think they knew that they suffered a bit from the intel. They've got the Mozzie, they've got the ideas of how they can catch and stop this. They're locked in on open, but is the pace of W7M going to change a little?
That's it, right? I mean, they just found quite some success by getting up these early entries, so they might be trying to find ways to fight more of them by maybe taking these fights to the inside of the building just a little bit quicker. Find yourself an early entry. And one that currently goes unspotted. And E1D pops off. That's going to give some freedom of movement towards the side of W7M. Barricade will get punched by the side of Gorgona, but won't be spotting anybody, so he'll just fall off as W7M seems to be aware of the position of one of the roamers! The run out from below, Grizzly, able to find Herds as an entry kill.
I was pointing, I saw it just on the sliver. I was going to say that there's 3 bodies, but you can see Grizzly was going to move in and amongst it. Gorgona drew attention, and Grizzly struck from the underneath there, was able to take out Herds, obviously a big player in the previous round. Another E1D echoes around here, but they're not quite able to find anyone behind it. They were using it as the pressure before. The quick drop with the Gun 6 down underneath. They're going to widen the attack and the approach. They have themselves stacked up on at least all 3 stories as the drones are whirring their way ahead. Benjamaster trying to keep himself a bit of an eye here. Preambling and angling towards the rotation there from the top as Volps takes a bit of control of Janitors. They have JV92 underneath as well. They want to see if they can try and force a player into a rotation for JV to go for a catch.
It is something quite usual, right? Holding the hatch, hoping someone will be misplacing himself and basically making himself vulnerable for a pickup through that hatch. Either way, hatches are being opened up and Volps just decides to enter the site. Almost went for the triple kill there, but will be shut down just before. But we're still in that 3-on-3 situation here. Sandcam's being used as well. Not quite sure what that grenade was supposed to do. I think open up the hatch, but failed to do it.
Yeah, a little bit of a misthrow there from Uno. There's a drone that's just come down the hatch behind him as well. I don't think he's seen it. Kaze, in the meantime, suffers just a tiny bit. It's a long gun to reload, but if he's got a moment, he's going to take it. This grenade is going to go right to his feet, but not quite close enough. Uno is able to find some safety. He's waiting for the drop on the hatch. There's pings on the intel that's giving the read. There it is. They went for the drop shot, and it was the grenade that almost forced the pickup there. Kaze finds 2. Threw himself into the site. They're looking for the pings. The spray over the top. Sloth finds 1 and finds at least an escape. 30 seconds and a rotate. If he can get this, the planter, this is huge. The C4, It doesn't quite connect. Wow, it's one of those unfortunate moments.
I think, no, he got himself stuck on the little beeper there. If he was out just a little bit quicker, he would have been able to potentially pick up the... I'm not quite sure if he died and the explosion went off right after, making him invulnerable to some extent, or if it was just too far out of reach. Either way, W7M finding their second round here. Very important for them to stay in this game and make sure that Heroic is not going to be allowed to get too far ahead of them here. And a 3-3 suddenly on the board for them. Didn't really seem to be the case before, and of course you lost someone to that run out early on, but they were able to strike back, able to retake that control from the tellers and then go for that drop. Uno missing most of his shots there with the Alda doesn't really help either. And that puts you in this 3-on-2 situation here, where W7M is just a single round away of tying it up and basically finding themselves in the driver's seat for the defensive half.
Well, Heroic, they've now lost 2 in a row. W7M, as you said, they found a bit of power, a bit of a windfall, a bit of success over the past 2 rounds. They've approached themselves still with this aggression, with the Lion, and they're making sure that they're actually in a position to fight behind it. That's the big difference from when they were trying their pushes and their swings before with utilities and Gadget. Let the guns be the driving factor. They know that they're playing a little bit with ankle weights on, and they've got to try and make sure that they're using that into their game to the best effect. Still another setup here. There is the Blitz as a possibility. He's just checking how much of a direct route he can take, but the couple of softs mean that he's got some work to do. There's a body that pops up towards the top of the stairs. It is that lock-in with the shotgun, more drones, more intel, and they're about to meet a Blitz train.
He's just waiting for that door to be opened up. He knows there might be something hiding around. You know, sometimes you have a camera there, but since Valkyrie's banned, not really the case, so might be looking for some other piece of utility that could be stuck up there. You never, of course, know if there's a thorn suddenly on the board. Either way, has been opened up, and Vulpes is just waiting now, potentially for a drone to come around just as the E1D smoke canister pops, but that will not stop him! He just jumps over and swings that shield, gets the kill into Benjamaster, and that is an early entry yet again.
I think it was very well played. He knew where he needed to be. The smoke didn't stop him. Taking the hot hop over the shield as well, it puts him in a bit of a tricky situation now, but he's got control of blue. He's taken out a huge blow, and obviously the smoke canister's gone as well, so early is bit of a big loss. Sloth brings the Echo drone to a position where it might be able to strike. They're getting the idea that the push is going to come from this opposite side, and W7M can use this time to open up their angles, get themselves some idea of how they want to go for the strike. As we said, the biggest change that we saw from Bank was that extra hatch, was the width that you can now apply to an approach here. You don't just have to sort of funnel yourself in from the side with the servers, you can stretch yourself over towards the vault and actually have some viability this time round.
Now there's a lot of utility currently aimed towards the A-bomb side here. We have a mirror window, we have 2 Vulcan pockets or hot pockets set up as well to just blow up whenever the need may be there. And as the smoke canisters get tossed in, they might want to be trying to go for a little bit of a bait here. Hope that they start pushing these hot pockets because there's a lot of time to be wasted here, especially with those yokais as well. So that's the first, but there's still another one around. That's the second.
There's the second. And you can see GDN is rotating their way around with the kit. They know they want to try and go for this default plant. There's still the Echo drones. There's still a C4 and another C4 in the pockets of Uno and Grizzly. Now, obviously, there was a bit of a latency before, but if they can try and get that connection here, they just need to try and get that drop. Still an E1D, though, and still some of that stress and stretch that they can do. One more, and the fire starts to go, and they realize they've got to have some width. Over to the hatch, the roll, and ready for the burn. There's the pop, there's a blind that just gets the catch. They can't quite get the angle that they want, though. They're not entirely sure, so they swing the C4 early. There's a spray, there's a catch back. They're going for the plant, the stick. They're just over the opposite side. Do they have the angle? Do they have the idea? They forced them off. They can't quite get the connection. Sloth's going deep, but they're going to try and double it down. Suddenly it's just Gorgona versus the world above the hatch. He can't quite find it. There it is! He's able to get it. 2 seconds left on the timer. They pick it back up, but it's Gorgona. He just needs to find the last player. Thought he had it. Now he does.
Gorgona with a 1v3 clutch there through that hatch, just able to find the angle, finds the injury on the second player as well, and as the time runs out, as the time hits 0, all he needs to do is drop and secure the round for Heroic, and they will find that 4-2 in the end there, but it seemed for a little bit there that W7M might have been able to get away with it. But they didn't have anybody up top. They didn't have anybody left on top of that hatch to make sure Gorgona wasn't able to play there, and that was their big mistake.
I mean, it was that little bit of rotation, that positioning there from Gorgona, the strike onto the kit, the pickup on the player who was downed, an important connection from a player who was, to be fair, you know, he was almost not able to make it either. He just had the miracle that got him here, and now he's going to see if he can do some of his own.
Luckily for Heroic, that is, because that round he just managed to pull in, and you know, you never know if that round might be the difference between 3 points or no points in the end, possibly. So with that 4-2 currently on the board, Heroic needing only 3 to find themselves with those 3 points, 2 to find any at all. And as we're getting away yet again, let's see how they will fare.
4-2, W7M, now they have a few more things working in their favor onto Bank. As I said, it's usually, you know, it can be good with attackers, but I think in the situation of defense, in the movements that they're playing, they can start to bring some of this game back. It is a 4-2 fight either side. Benjamaster's going to see if he can try and be the lead in. He suffered a little bit to quick, pacey movements, and he wants to try and return the favor as quick as possible. Nook over the top floor, past the cameras. There is a player on the top. There's a ping through. There's a spray. Doesn't get the full connection, though. Herds. He sees his life flash before his eyes and decides he doesn't like what he saw. He wants to see if he can try living a little bit more.
That's what happened when a 9mm gun going through the wall there. Your damage is going to be significantly reduced there. This Volps is going to be opening up one of those hatches inside of the elevator. He's giving himself a way out, a way back to the side if the pressure becomes too much. He decides to take it as well. 2 minutes left on the clock, and I believe it's just Keys left here on that middle floor here, trying to hold off Heroic's attempt of opening up these hatches as quickly as possible.
He's got himself in a really good position here, Keys. If he can hold himself just around this area and he goes unchecked, it's the thing. That double-edged sword of too much bravery sometimes means that those mistakes can be punished. You also add in the fact that that Oryx can explore if they want. Well, not anymore. Benja swung around the corner and caught them just before they were able to catch themselves to drop on the hatch. There is still Keys. He is still loose. He is still in a power position if he can play it well. If he goes unchecked, that's that big question. The grenade doesn't quite get the full roll down. A great bit of movement there from JV to get a bit of response. Heard the call, the audio, and decided to respond like that. There's another catch around the bottom of green stairs, keeping themselves at bay, but now the hatch is opened via a grenade.
JV there heard the pin being pulled out, decided to go for a quick peek because he also knew it's either a grenade that lands on top of me or I'm taking him out right before he actually tosses it in. And once the grenade is being pulled, it cannot shoot back. So he took his chances and was able to get the most of it. But Keys here in that crucial position. You said it before, there's someone just on the other side of the wall, but he cannot quite see him yet. Misses the opportunity there, but this could be even bigger here. Finds one, goes for the second, but he's not able to connect. Neroni actually runs out of ammo there, and Grizzly will be able to find the trade.
Grizzly got stuck on the rotate as well. It's a little bit botched there, but there is the player down here on the bottom of green. Just going to flash him out and pull himself back 30 seconds. You can see they're opening up themselves. That drop onto the elevator hatch itself. Volps is going to watch the back. There's gold. You're going to need a rotation from GDN here. Suddenly there's a player in a little bit of a tight spot, but Grizzly with the kit is isolated. If he goes down, then the round might suffer quickly. There is a player there. It's Ring Around the Rosies once again. The spray doesn't connect, but they find a second. There it is. Picked up on the split side. The smoke pops a second too late. Finds the rotation. And now it is just the man with the kit on the far side. And a lock in there from JV.
Keys on the flank there actually important. I mean, he might have not been able to pick up that second kill, but definitely still struck some chaos amongst the heroic ranks. As he picks up one, deals a little bit of damage. I mean, the Roni doesn't have the same ammo capacity anymore as it used to have, so ran out a little bit too early. But still, did some damage, got one kill, created some chaos. And, I mean, Benja, he made the right call first by jumping as soon as he heard that bait of trying to pick up the kill. Just maybe a little bit too greedy, too ambitious, possibly, with that grenade there. Exposing himself before he actually had to. And we have a tactical timeout now, so that means Officer is going to have 45 seconds with his boys to reel them all in as the new sheriff he is.
He is the Sheriff of Charlotte.
Yeah, the Sheriff of Charlotte.
Yeehaw.
Tips, cowboy hat.
It's time to talk because, you know, it's always this sort of situation where you've come up with a loss, as we said it before. It's an important game here because you're looking at the shape of the table. You can't be the only team that hasn't been able to pull anything from today. You have to at least put a notch into the board. You have to be able to pull something. Obviously, w7m, they've got 2 points under their belt. If they take a full 3 here, they're at the top of the board. They know this. As the team that's obviously had such a good stage 1, it is a big shame we don't get their full experience. I think everybody feels that. It would have been nice to sort of have everything here, but with how difficult visas are at the minute, it's just a shame. And I think that's one of the things here is they're still going to be putting in a fight. They're going to see how far they can get, even though they are unfortunately not quite able to give us the full taste of what they offer on their national.
Of course.
Week in, week out.
And they will also be missing this, right? I mean, it is a team that was consistently running in the last 2 places of BR6 last year. And they made some changes, and suddenly they're the top team. Like, something just suddenly clicked. Everything seemed to be working. And now they miss out on their first LAN, on the crowd as well. Crowd's gone back. They were supposed to be here. That is what every player in Siege wants, besides lifting the hammer at the end of the year.
But 4-3, Heroic still have themselves a bit of a lead, a round ahead, and they've had their timeout now. They're going to see if they can try and make it work. They lost that opener, and they're going to try and refuse to lose any more here. The stretch still comes across the top. They've got themselves locked in. Benja's back on the Nook to see if they can try and do a bit more of that surprise gameplay that drove them through it before. There's no line, none of that play, as there was quite a lot of in the pockets of w7m. There is still hefty use of utility, but no SAM cams either, and that's always the one, as I said, I really just love how that operator influences and plays with this map, but I guess intel and control over that isn't what they think they're missing right now.
No, the Argus cams definitely don't seem to be what they want to use here. It's the hot droning from Benja in here. He will be able to find that very first kill. A great kill on JV, and that is going to be opening the site, and the middle of this site quite big as well.
Didn't drop the bulletproof, opted instead to take the drop into the hatch, hoping they could catch another person, keeping themselves alive and keeping the live nature of this roam, this gameplay. They're still trying to bite back here over the top. The sledge goes for a swing, and we saw a jump out massive before. We don't see it again. Gorgona pre-fires through, whether he had the intel, he definitely had the smarts, and that was to fire through and find that kill too quick. Both into their favor now, and obviously 2 big players off the board. The remaining 3 still might have a bit of a chance here. Volps has got himself in quite an aggressive position, just waiting on the other side of the double door with a glance towards the new lobby door to see if anybody might go for a bit of a roam. It's dangerous, because if he gets caught on a camera, well, he's going to get out of there now. They pre-fired to see if they could get him loose, but Benja in the meantime finds GDN.
Yeah, and that leaves it in that 2v5 situation here with 1:20 left on the clock, Ami. It's plenty of time for Heroic to do the preparations they want to go for. Hurts, however, active and aggressive towards the elevator hallway. We'll be able to find Slough as the Yana gun. It's 2 grenades, it's a Gemini replicator, and a gun 6, all out of the hands of Heroic, and that might definitely hurt them in the end, but still they have that massive advantage in terms of men count.
Herd suffers a little bit there on a scrappy spray through, but suffering isn't ending your round. They've been able to already find a body from this, and they're going to see if they can try and continue that. There is rotations, options available to them, and angles, and they're going to see if they can try and get a bit of a split of the pressure here. With an idea on the hatch in only 40 seconds, you've got to make sure, Heroic, in the situation that the execute doesn't fall away from them. The break of Janitors does force this play. There's a drone that just catches a side. Will they catch the player? Do they know?
They don't, because the drone was driving away from him there, so they don't seem to be aware of Hers' current position here. And Uno is carrying the diffuser with 20 seconds left on the clock. It might have been a 2v5, but it seems like if Uno gets down, that might be the end of it. It's 2-on-2, the diffuser is indeed dropped.
Flash
no, it's not.
Over the top, no, they know where the player is. They've been able to get it. And Uno just pushes in. That was almost tragic there for Heroic. They left themselves with 20 seconds. It just needed that single player from the side there of w7m to, instead of choosing that first fight, find a second. And I guess it's always that thing from our position of omnipotence. We know that they don't know, but we also know that both of them don't know.
For a second there, I thought Uno got dropped because suddenly a lot of kills came into that direction, and we also knew that there was still herds around in that position, but unable to actually find a kill in the end there, leaving it 2-2, and eventually Heroic being able to carry those across. And that puts them at 5-3. 2 rounds away, Emmy, for 3 points. And they would gladly take those after that defeat they had just a little bit earlier against G2, because that will just, put them right underneath them in the standings.
I was going to say, it puts it in as... If they take the full 3, then that pushes, I believe, DarkZero down to last place, as they lose the head-to-head and the round count, technically, versus w7m, who would be on 2 points as well, but they would be in 3rd, because they obviously...
It depends on round differential first, and
well,
after
I think they get it because it was... They won...
It's total round differential, right?
They won 8... Yeah. Oh, is it total?
I think it's total for, like, the entire group, so...
Where's Cop-It? Cop-It!
Cop-It! Is he watching?
I
know he's around.
He's technically working.
He's sitting there.
We can ask him later.
Either way, it doesn't really matter for now how the standings all point out, because, I mean, nothing is decided as of yet. It will be decided at the end, of course, of Wednesday, and with a 5-3 currently on the score, and this only being the second match for both these teams. it is still many more to go. So Mirror Traps are being called off by Magnets there, and they will blow up quite early. They won't just deploy there. But still one more put out by Benja here, but he finds himself picked up by Keys.
Yeah, he tried to swing back into the pre-fire there, but Keys just decided to keep firing. It was very well played there with experience. There's a little bit more of a break, another stop as they're just wasting and burning through utility here on the top. Sloth tries to find a fight into stock there and suffers a scrape on the other side of it. Wants to pop the concussion, and well, the timing came through a little bit there for him. Herds couldn't quite get the connection onto the fight itself, pulls themselves back. Dangerous maneuver, but it gets Sloth inside the building. There is still players underneath. There is still a bit of concern, and there is now the E1D, the rush they're in. They're trying to get control over the top, but it's the bottom that gets the drop round in. Hey, what's that diffuser? Oh, it's a post-plant situation, and now they're on the windows, and it's a 2 versus 4, but still, if they can try and get themselves angled in for some control here, Grizzly, he's tucked in. He's waiting for audio. W7M know that there's this player in this position. They've got to try and time this perfectly. Are they going to go for a run out on the door? It is an option. They're going wider and wider, and they're going to actually lean into it first. In the meantime, Gorgona gets one more, but they're holding onto the kit. There it is. Another body goes down, and they're off the diffuser. Gorgona swings round, but they're dropped outside. It's a 1 versus 1. Can he get up in time? There's the ping. There's the reveal.
Oh, he gets it.
Grizzly.
Just barely, though. It was a long gunfight outside, and that was very smart from W7M because they knew there's only one person on the rappel, and that person on the rappel, that's the most important one in that post-plant situation. As it was going on for that gunfight, Gorgona had to push in with the MK14. Not really the best gun if you want to be, in a close quarters 1v2. He managed to get one, deal some damage on the second, but by just enough time to get back up, to get Grizzly back up on the rappel and find that final headshot. And now Heroic find themselves here at match point, a single round away with 3 opportunities to put themselves on 3 points as well.
I mean, Heroic are fighting their way back into this game, but you've always got to look at, obviously, how W7M, they're doing the right decisions. They're doing the right moments. It's little bites and fights, but it must be pretty frustrating to be in a position where you know be giving that little bit more. The run out there on the door, some of these fights I think are getting a little bit scrappy, a little bit longer than we've otherwise seen them do inside of the National League, and the performance that they've been able to put in there. Heroic, from our perspective in EUL, they always have a fight. They always love sort of engagements, and they'll keep going into them. It's not always the sharpest, though they can do that gameplay, but it is often in their successive pockets. I think that little bit of a difference is here. Heroic are sort of pulling W7M into their game and saying, well, let's show you how we do it over on our continent.
I kind of want to say, though, I really liked how they went in with 2 to go for that plant, right? Like, you had them going for the plant. You had the LMG over the shoulder. I believe it was Sloth just going for the pre-fires there.
Are they doing it again?
They're doing it again. They're going very fast here. And this might actually just work out as well. They don't seem to be fully aware. The hatch has been opened up. First missed attempt, though. That is definitely going to be given away some time here. I remember hiding in the corners, definitely, while throwing this round off here.
Oh, a great push from GDN. Gets into a position, but there's Uno biting back a 2 versus 1. JV is all that's left, and now they're going to see if they can try and go with a big rotation round on the opposite side, underneath the hatch, but they're aware. The audio, Uno, the man with all the experience, he doesn't even get it. It's Gorgona that locks it in, and Heroic, from the dregs of a loss to G2, pull themselves up to 2nd place. And the fight in this group continues.
They went for a quick push there, and as they drop through, I mean, the first miss spray, that is going to be giving it all away. They know exactly what is going to be happening there, and, as they tried to rotate back, they definitely had some good moments. They had some good kills on W7M's side. The Heroic already too far through. Knew it was a 1v2 in the end. Knew that he was offside. Just hold that one hatch you can go back from.
There it is, Mr. Officer, the man of many, many words, is definitely going to be filling them in, but it's obviously a lot of congratulations for a lot of different teams. We gave it to W7M earlier for winning their first game on the international stage, and now it's Heroic that get to have that under their belt as well. They are able to take some points on the grandest stage, and I cannot tell you how much of a relief that must be for any team
Yeah, it must be a massive relief. You do not want to start off your major run, your first major, with an 0-2 in groups. You want to make sure that you're constantly competitive, constantly fighting, constantly in the mix of things to make sure that you have that good shot on a Wednesday to make it out of the groups, to make it to the grand stage, to the crowd that is returning after such a long time being gone.
So, no one in this group is able to find themselves the full 2 wins. It's still up in the air, and we'll have a little bit of a closer look at how that game played out after a little bit of a closer look at some ads. We will see you in just a moment.